Hello, welcome to the 16th. Knew I was forgetting something. Hello, welcome to the 16th day of October 2025. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, a video live exercise that I do each and every morning to remember my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone, which you can read for free at goingalone.org. I also use this time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with any noteworthy challenges or opportunities that I met. I go over my creed and I prepare for the coming day. But before any of that, I want to say hello to new subscribers. It's good to have you here. This is a private, personal, public journal, so you're welcome to watch me as I talk about my own life to any degree I like, or not degree that I like. You're welcome to leave comments and criticisms in as you see fit, and I'll read them at the end. I do talk about sensitive subjects like death, atheism, things like that, so be forewarned if those are uncomfortable topics for you. I also greatly appreciative to my YouTube viewers, my members on YouTube, and my Patreon supporters. Thank you very much for your support. It means a lot to me. All right, it's going to be a relatively quick one this morning, as I do, believe it or not, have a deadline at the top of the hour. I need to make a phone call back to the United States. That'll fold into today's notes as well. Under the heading of the last 24 hours, again, phone call. I've got some, I do have a situation that I'm taking care of in the United States, but this is not related to that. These phone calls that I need to make to the United States are related to management of my personal affairs back home in America. And I need to be calling institutions within their office hours in the United States to make plans, ask questions, and make some changes. This is related to the effective management of my life abroad. So every now and then I have to talk to the folks back home to make sure that I've got everything organized the way I need it to have organized to ensure the stability of life for my wife and I. So that happened yesterday, and it happened today. And so that's my one note from yesterday, was that, the note basically says phone calls. And then there's a parenthetical remark that said handles well. So I knew going into this week that I would need to talk to back home. And this isn't about the details of what I'd had to do. This exercise, this video, is about how I handled it well. Did I do a good job? So needing to know that I needed to contact make various phone calls this week, I first used Temperance, of course, to tamp down any anxiety that I felt about the need to figure out when and how to call. I use an app that allows me to call any phone number in the United States or anywhere in the world via the internet. So that's really good. That's really good. So I didn't need to worry about that. So I reminded myself of that, using Temperance to hold down the emotion. I need to do business with the United States. The emotion starts to rise. What time zone differences are there? How am I going to talk to them? What am I going to say? All these kind of things come up. And I handled those things by a couple of ways. One is that I remember that I have a mechanism, a means by which I can call anyone in the United States or anywhere in the world. That helped. I came up with a plan of action about who I needed to call first and what I would say, and I did that, and then I executed the plan. Yesterday, after this exercise was done, I made my first call, and that went really well. Better than I could have hoped. It was so easy. Yeah. In fact. And then I enjoyed a nice remainder of the day yesterday, just doing my normal thing. I'm gonna light another candle here. And now I'm on day 2, and I have another phone call to make, which I'll make pretty much as soon as I'm done here. So I used Temperance to control my emotions about any anxiety that I felt about the need to reach back to the United States. I then used hashtag reason to remind myself of the work I'd already done to prepare to be able to do this, and also to come up with a plan of action. Which phone call needed to come first, what I needed to plan to say, how I needed things to go, what I expected to have done, etc. All laid out. And actually use ChatGPT to help me with that. So I have a special GPT that I've created for management of affairs back in the United States. And I explained to the GPT what I was after, and it helped me to come up with a course of action. And I didn't even imagine this, it came up with a dialogue that I could execute. And not that I'm necessarily one that necessarily needs help with dialogue. I'm pretty good at the back and forth of things, but it was helpful to frame it, and it was really, really useful. It's amazing how ChatGPT, especially the new 5.0, the 5 version, is especially insightful and adept at seeing its way through things. So I used Temperance and Reason, and then I used, what would it be? Timeliness. I guess that would be the objective of true limits and true opportunities, right? Yeah, which I abbreviate as limits, because I have a limited time zone for some of these phone calls. Time that I have to call, I have to coordinate it so that I can call from here to get through to people back home in the United States at the time that they're available. So I simply coordinated that, figured out the time, decided what time that was optimal to call, which happens to be right after I'm done with this. So right around the top of the hour, I'll make that second phone call. So I used Temperance, Reason, Limits. Anything else? That's about it. And yesterday went really well. I'm going to give myself 5 stars for that yesterday. And then I had that done before lunch, and the peace of mind that came from that was quite worthwhile. Okay, now on to the creed. Okay, my creed, which again you can read about in Going Alone in the chapter titled The Good Life. Just go to goingalone.org, click on the button right there that says read the book, look for the Good Life chapter, and you can read about it. This creed consists of 8 objectives and 35 principles. The objectives are as follows. Number 1, to be always ready to die, to have my life in a state where I'm prepared to die at any moment, leaving my desk and my affairs in good order, my bank accounts and my circumstance for my wife my wife who will survive me, hopefully, in good shape. No unfinished business with anyone in my life. No words to mollify, harsh words to mollify, or unspoken sentiments that I have not yet conveyed. Also, finally, to have my life's work in a good shape, which it absolutely is. My book is written. The other half of my life's work was the raising of my daughter, and she's raised on her own. All right, so number 2 that was the first objective, to be always ready to die. The second objective is to make good and effective use of my time. I struggle with this one daily, especially now that I'm retired, because I have so much free time. Sometimes it's a bit of a striving to make sure that I'm not wasting my time. Not that I can't have leisure, or that I don't allow myself to relax. I do, but not much. But to make sure that I'm making good use of what I'm doing. Yesterday, I found myself in a little park, on a small, tiny little park down by the river, the Tomoe River, reading Tolstoy's Family Happiness. And boy, did I feel like that was a good use of time. Just sitting there with my little dog on this little tiny park bench with the world revolved around me, engaging in the reading of great writing. Good use of time. Number 3 third objective is to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. Precisely the 8 objectives and 35 principles I've laid out here. Number 4 is to cultivate good emotional reactions, to become someone who reacts well when I'm faced with a challenging circumstance, which I think that I can add that to the list of principles and objectives I started earlier, #reaction. I reacted well to some of the stress or anxiety that I felt about the things that I have to do back in the United States this week. I didn't let that get the better of me. I didn't deny it. I didn't. I used temperance to hold it back. I also used #apathy. In imagining a couple of scenarios in which things might go in ways that are beyond my control. Number 5, fifth objective is to do good things relative to my values. It's an interesting thing to make sure that it ties back in the good efforts that I make loop back in, and reference or apply to my values. And if I find myself doing good things that don't support my values, then that's an interesting thing, because that means maybe there's more to my values than I have laid out. I have to do some further discovery. That hasn't happened in a long time. So I think that they're pretty comprehensive at this point, although I know that I'm probably guilty of some worldview bias that is prohibiting me to see things. I was reading the day before yesterday, in Going Alone, I reference David Pixler, who is the man who basically, the professor at Chaffey College, who basically rescued me in terms of his pedagogy and tutorage from the life of wandering that I had been living as a lost youth. I was reading an essay that he wrote called Views from a Lake, and I was realizing that he was seeing the world from his perspective that yielded values, a view on the world that was unlike mine, that our worldviews, our epistemology, not our epistemology, our creed, so to speak, would not necessarily consist of the same objectives and principles. And he's a man that I respect, a man that started me on my path, and it was an eye-opener. I have given some thought to it. He brought another angle to it. That doesn't happen much anymore. Number 7 is to, or did I already talk about this? Number 6 is to recognize true limits and true opportunities. Number 7 is to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. Here comes the rain. And number 8 is to maintain my balance. As for principles, we're going to read today the principle titled Temperance, a very, very key and important principle in my worldview. Temperance, if you're following along on the hardbound edition, it's on page 260. This is principle number 14. This temperance, of course, refers to restraint. Self-restraint, mostly. The ability to control ourselves. We often refer to the word, we think about the word, and apply the word temperance to controlling ourselves with regard to alcohol, mainly. But it applies to anything, any want or need or desire or passion that we have, which rises up and tells us and compels us to consume it, can be tempered with temperance. And in fact, the word temper is right in there, isn't it? The sub-principles are suffering, simplicity, and apathy, because we suffer when we tell ourselves no. And a simple life is, by definition, a temperate life. And apathy is an important tool to recognize, to apply when we recognize what we want, but is not just something we may choose to deny ourselves, but is beyond our reach. And a quote from Anthony the Great: "Keep your tongue and your belly under control." Temperance. Temperance is the controlled consumption of all things, such as food and drink, work and play, and even our thoughts and emotions. I will strive to recognize these consumables and then measure out a reasonable portion for myself, and then strive to consume very little of that. Such a worthwhile aim. Such worthy living naturally entails some suffering when we deny ourselves our wants, though a simple life makes this easier when the denial becomes part and parcel of our habits and conditioned response. Thus, simplicity helps. I will then apply apathy towards the intemperance of others, as well as any personal misadventure which is beyond my control. I will recognize my own excess and that of my peers, and then use apathetic indifference as a buffer to prevent my consumption of the Feast of Offal, which is principle number 18, a little further along in the book. Temperance and the capability to endure suffering, foster and create a simple life, and apply apathy, wield apathy like a craftsman, a swordsman, seeing where the things that are beyond our control and letting them go. Thus is a temperance achieved. Probably, like I said, it's probably the first and foremost. It's my most immediate tool. If I imagine these tools, these principles and objectives, like tools hanging on a tool belt at my waist, temperance is the one that's whipped out the most, followed usually by reason. Hashtag temperance, hashtag reason. Okay, now as for today, I think I already covered that. I have another phone call to make. In fact, I'd probably better wrap this up soon. I'm going to try to make that phone call at the top of the hour back to the United States. I need to get a hold of them during a particular time. Okay, let's go ahead and read comments. Hello, Michael Littlejohn. It's good to see you. Hello, Marmite. Sounds like you're dealing with something heavy. I'm sure you're prepared emotionally and statistically, but I still feel the need to express my hope that you're doing okay. I am doing okay. It's not too heavy. It's housekeeping, maintaining a life overseas. As in this case, I sustain myself through my resources back home in the United States, and every now and then I need to adjust and tune things to make sure everything works smoothly. Pretty much all it is. If I was a mechanic, this would constitute regular tuning and maintenance of the car. So it's not a problem that I'm addressing. It's more or less just managing my affairs back in the United States. And I need to talk to people over there, and they're not available when I'm, because of the time zone differences. I have to adjust my course, my timing when I do need to make phone calls to match them. Thank you for your well wishes. Marmite says, wishing you strength and temperance during this time. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Robert says, hello to myself, Michael, Marmite, and reports in at 58 degrees Fahrenheit and 34% humidity with an air quality index of 24 in Napanee, Ontario, Canada. Robert is 20 degrees spot on and 85% humidity here in Shizuoka, Japan, in the Valley of Tea, and the rain is coming down. Hello, Marmite. Marmite says hi to Tim, Michael, Kurt, and anyone else. Hello. Very nice. Evelyn. Hi, Evelyn. Hi, Kurt. Evelyn wishes well wishes to Kurt, Marmite, Robert, and Tim. Robert says hello to Evelyn. Ray says hello from Washington State at 15 degrees C and 49% humidity. Nice to hear. Evelyn says hi to Michael. Tim is here and reporting a weather check in the UK at 10.1 C and 81% humidity. Yet another still, dull, cloudy day. Very poetic. Still, cloudy, still dull and cloudy day. I know that feeling. How that isn't it interesting how atmosphere can be dull in a very most interesting way. Marmite says currently 21:44 is the time and 11 C, so you're closing in on midnight where you are, or a few hours away, and then 80% humidity with 1 mile per hour wind. Tim says hi to Evelyn. Robert says hi to Ray and Tim. Marmite says hello to Evelyn. Great to see you here again. Robert says hi to Robert. Tim says hi to Robert. Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. Good morning to you. Robert says hi to Sarah. Tim says the time zones are always a nightmare. Trying to FaceTime family in Australia, being 10 hours ahead. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. I need to call back to the States and catch them when they're available. Sarah says hi to Robert. Tim says, hey, Kurt, hope you have a great day. Thank you, Tim. Robert says hello to Tim. Marmite says, temperance to me feels linked to the adage of you can only control yourself and not others. I would apply that. I agree, temperance does apply. I would also apply apathy to that, where apathy is the recognition of what is beyond our control. And more importantly, the application of our decision-making relative to that. adage. Right, got it, Marmighty. Claude, hey Claude, good to see you. Best wishes in your endeavors. Thank you. You too, and hope you're doing well. I know you're on the ground here in Japan today. Robert says hello to Claude, and Sarah says, hope all is well, Kurt. I feel like all your practice and self-development will help in these situations. It's amazing how it's like, I keep saying, it's like practicing karate. If you practice the katas every day and you learn all the moves, then when you come to need to do it in real life, it's like it comes automatic. It's just like that. It's kind of like doing this daily exercise, reflecting on what works and doesn't work, preparing myself for the coming day. Really, really, really does help. 10, 15 years ago, before I was doing this type of stuff, the challenge that I have to organize my affairs from abroad would cause a lot more anxiety to me. But it doesn't. Like yesterday, I knew handling this one thing required 2 steps. Yesterday's phone call and today's phone call. And I was able to use apathy to realize that I had missed my chance yesterday to make the call I need to make today. So I used apathy to say that's beyond my reach. It's recognizing also limits, true limits. I couldn't possibly finish the business, all of it in one shot yesterday. I had to extend a little bit of it today. So there you go. And Sarah says, good to hear. Thank you, Sarah. And speaking of which, I'm going to sign off for now. It's nearing the top of the hour. My window of opportunity to do business in the United States is fast closing. So I'll sign off from here, everybody, and try to take care and make a phone call back to the United States. Marmighty says, I really and honestly feel that everyone here is almost entitled to a relaxed and chill day, wishing that you all have peace and to reach what you want. Take care all. That's a very nice sentiment. Thank you, Marmighty. Ray says, have a wonderful day. Tim says, have a wonderful day. Robert says, thank you, Kurt. Bye all. Sarah says, thanks, Marmighty. You too. Nice sign off from everybody. I'm wishing you all the best. I didn't hear from you, Evelyn. I wish you all the best. I mean, I saw your comment earlier, but I wish you the best as well. And Claude and everybody else. Take care, Paul. Everybody, be safe but not too safe.